let's just take a start. We talked about exactly what Hyperscape was the issue. And the issue is that this game has a high level and a low level. And it has, unfortunately, over the first couple of days, people didn't understand it. So the casual low level that they want to cater to, alongside this like high level, has been having fun. The second it became obvious through streamers, through people playing, through people watching and absorbing the game, what the meta was, the high level dominated. And basically anybody who didn't understand that high level was swarmed. Part of it is that there is no players coming in from just downloading it for free. You have to get a key, so that's limiting the player base to people who are watching streams, who know everything high level that all their pro players are watching and, you know, content creators are doing. And so they're coming in with this knowledge, and the entire landscape of play is just woo. It's like up here. If there was a cake, it'd be the top, it'd be the icing, and all the stuff underneath for a casual player to enjoy, it wouldn't be there. They would just be like, oh my God, it looks great, but I can't even eat it. So why would I even be spending time on this cake? I'm going to go eat a cake that I can actually finish. So apparently I got kicked out of a game. There's a new patch. That's a long way to say that there are things like the HEXFIRE that have been broken, things like the SKYBREAK that have been found people to be overwhelmingly good that I made a video on. So now we've got an update. So let's read it. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan, one of your Hyperscape community developers. I've got an update for you. After a few days warm up in Neo Arcadia, Prisma Dimensions has a gameplay balancing patch ready for you. The first patch for Hyperscape should address already some keys of the balancing issues you've been reporting. This update couldn't have happened without the feedback we gathered from Hyperscape streamers, players, and viewers. Thank you. It's critical to allow us to improve the game, so keep it coming. For me, this is the right way to do it, at least to start, because you could see a couple of things you're getting out of line, and these are the 3 weapons specifically that I felt were extremely out of line, and it seems like they're making some changes. Sorry about the car coming through on the highway, by the way. The HEXFIRE, aka minigun, aka brrr, was behaving in a much more dominant all-purpose role than we witnessed in our own internal tests. The time to kill of the weapon is too fast if you have the benefit of a large magazine and firing stability. We want gameplay to be diverse, and so the HEXFIRE needs to become a less obvious choice versus other weapons. We're reducing the overall damage output of the weapon, but without seriously changing its core behavior and comfort for now. We'll continue to monitor moving forward. Damage across all fusion levels has been decreased from 3,334 down from 4,445. So essentially 1 down on the peg, meaning that you're going to have, for the most of it, unless you have a fully gold hex, it'll be doing the same amount of damage as any other hex and that you used to play against, which means it's still going to be good if it's fully gold, but it's not going to be this outrageous bit of damage. I like the 3. I think you could even go down on this potentially because, hey, I am Simeon B. Thank you so much for the raid, bro. I hope you're doing well. Simeon B, showing some love, man. Thank you so much. Hope you had a good stream. Now, my big thought around this is there's more that can be done, but this is a nice soft change to start. Contextual movement spread and hip fire, run, sprint, and in-air states has been slightly increased to reinforce difference with Ripper in terms of mobility. Aim down sights accuracy is unchanged. So when you're sprinting, when you're in your hip fire movement and you're moving, so if you're running, you're sprinting, and you're in the air, there is more spread on the weapon, meaning it's harder to hit. And that is also to reinforce the assault rifle, which is the Ripper, which, those moving and acting the same, carrying that big thing around, sliding and shooting people the same as like a gun, normal gun. I mean, no one can even do that. You probably couldn't even lift that in your life. You know what I mean? Unless you're going to the gym every single day, and you probably have to have good jeans as well, and not the ones on your pants. All right, let's go to Skybreaker. That seems good. It seems like I'm interested to try that out. Skybreaker. The Skybreaker's success has broken our expectations. In our test, the Skybreaker was used as a slower but powerful, contextually great weapon. We're pleased to see it used in fast airborne combat, but we believe it's currently doing a bit too much damage compared to other weapons. Only damage will be lowered. For now, the gun behavior and blast radius are unchanged. Detailed changes. Damage across fusion levels decreased to 40, 46, 52, 58, 64, down from 50, 57, 65, 72, 80. So on the high end, you're going to experience much more of this. 16 down on the low end, it's only going to be a 10 level difference, and it's not going to scale as high. It'll scale by 6 instead of scaling by 7 and 8, and then 7 and then 8, which is a weird. So it's going to go 6, 6, 6, 6. So interesting. I don't know why they had the 7, 8, 7, 8 scaling, but seems like that's the case. I have something very interesting to say about these lines, but we'll keep it kind of, fresh right now. Salvo, man, this weapon's been nuts. People have been sleeping on this, but if you've ever played against it or used it and hit your actual shots, it's ridiculous. It bounces you back. It does so much damage, and it essentially like stun locks you into taking the damage if you're in a corner or in a building. It's so oppressive, so unfun to play against, and I want to see what they do with it. Salvo's been used a lot and raised many comments about its brutal efficiency indoors. Although we like its accessibility, it's become a bit too much of a short-range fire-and-forget weapon. For now, the proximity detonation will not be modified, but we will lower its damage a bit. The small damage reduction will be enough to prevent a 4-hit kill at full fusion. I see. So, I believe 8, 16, 24, 32, so 80, so you're at 112. So I believe you have 120 health in this game, and I believe now it'll be doing 112. It'll be doing 112 damage if you hit 4, which is just under. You'll have 8 damage left, so I'll have to hit you with something else, versus the 31 scaling, which actually put it into over 120. It was like 124. It was something like 124. So that obviously is a little bit of a change. I mean, 22 is still pretty good, but I think it'll be really interesting to see, because the impact was not necessarily the damage. The impact is the fact that it's just so oppressive and you can't really move when you get hit by it. So we'll see if this changes it. I know they're doing numbers changes right now, which means they don't have time for a patch that's going to actually change anything from a bigger level of design, like hitbox wise, or the way the weapons actually work. So it seems like it's really simply just something they could do, like a main designer can do in like a system, and actually tweak numbers and apply that live to the game. That's why the patch isn't taking too long either, which is a good way to do it. Komodo has seen some use, but we feel it needs a little buff to be more of an option versus Salvo or Ripper. We will adjust its damage based on the new values of Salvo. So the Komodo damage across fusion levels increased from 22, 22, 22, 28 up from 20, 20, 20, 25, which is great. So the Komodo is now almost is exactly the same as the Salvo. I guess the difference is that instead of the bouncing grenades with proximity detonation, this is going to be more of the splash damage right in the area, right on impact. So it's going to be more of a flavor that you enjoy. But I'm happy that the Komodo is getting a buff. Dtap. The first days of technical tests have seen little usage of the Dtap. It's partly the name too, isn't it? The Dtap just sounds kind of wimpy. I don't know. The weapon's auto-lock system works. However, we believe its damage output is a bit too low to make it interesting enough, so we're increasing the rate of fire both in hipfire and ADS. Please note that in ADS, the Dtap already has a 15% fire rate of fire and an increased lock range compared to hipfire. Interesting. I didn't know that. So the rate of fire in hipfire is plus 10%, and the rate of fire in ADS is also plus 10%. So 25% faster fire in ADS and a 25% faster fire in hipfire, but it's also increased lock range, which is good to know. All right, so we'll see if the Dtap is worth it. It's a little underwhelming. I feel like I don't know if that's going to make me use the Dtap, but hey, we'll see. Seems like the Ripper Hex are still going to be pretty good. Protocol doesn't get touched, which I like. All right. The armor hack did not have a dominant presence in our internal test so far, which proves how useful this technical test with all of you has been. Armor has been heavily used in the previous days and generated a lot of discussion. We've seen players learning how to time their attacks to exploit its inherent weaknesses. While in armor, you can't shoot, you can't use a hack, you can't even break a barricade with melee. However, even so, the armor remains a strong hack that we are changing to be less powerful. The fact that players have learned to use the cooldown fusion reset to double stack it or even triple stack it while wearing the crown is amazing. We can't let players get up to 24 seconds of armor nonstop during showdown. Thor. We're not changing the behavior for now, but we are modifying cooldown and duration to create more windows of opportunity when facing an armored contender. All right, so the hack duration lowered to 6 seconds from 8, which is good. A cooldown across fusion increased, and so you'll have 9 seconds at the highest level of fusion versus the 7 seconds, which is good. So you have more of a window during the hack, and you also have more of a window before they can use the hack again. So this is a pretty big nerf because you're not only getting, obviously, the 2 seconds of safety there plus the 2 seconds of safety. So you're kind of losing 4 seconds of safety on both ends, which starts to scale up quite a bit. So that's actually pretty nice. And armor is definitely going to be more of a question mark for people to pick up. I like that. Okay. Dark Haze mode has shown more mine usage compared to Crown Rush, but we think it's still underused compared to other hacks. Mine is currently a bit slow to react, and managing to hit players reliably with it is harder than we expected. Mine's overall reactivity will be improved. Its trigger time will be shortened, so it activates and starts chasing players sooner, and the mine projectile acceleration will be increased. All right, so the hack trigger detonation lowered to 0.5 seconds, down from 1 second. And the projectile acceleration time to reach full speed has been strongly increased, meaning that you're going to notice it. The mine's going to be pretty interesting. I think the mine's actually already good. I think the mine might be the one that comes out of this with a little sneaky, like, ooh, the mine. Pick mine, dude. It's nuts. It's nuts. I feel like that's going to be a little bit of where this is. How do I feel about these patch notes? I feel like the Dtap is something that I'm definitely going to try more now. I was already considering it. It is underwhelming, and it's mostly because of the damage. It's just not meaningful burst damage, and people have so many ways to get away and to heal and reset fights that you need burst in this game. The reason that I'm surprised at some of these things I mentioned, I'd say that, is because in their playtest, they didn't experience the 3 most consistent weapons that burst damage, as well as tracking players when they're using incredible amounts of mobility to be the key weapons that players would gravitate towards. Which is why there is this role that, you know, I and my buddy Nick, we would do when we were with these games like Paladins and Smite. We would talk to the developers in Realm Royale and BRs. We would basically say, listen, let us into your playtests. Let us play. And we would destroy them with these types of things. And they'd be like, oh, wow. Yeah, wow, that's really good. Because as a developer, what you're doing is you have to think of everybody. You can't just think of the high level. You've got to think of everyone. You got to think of who would like this, who would like that. Oh, a guy who likes to play a little bit sneakier, he's going to want to use invisibility, and that's going to be so cool. Here's how it works. And you're thinking about that, but you're not thinking about what would a pro player do when he grabs this, grabs that, breaks it, never uses anything but this weapon, forces you to do this, slams you, you know what I mean? Like, what's a team of 3 doing all that? And that is where there's this disconnect often between when patches come out and weapons, what they're at, and also, you know, what ends up being the right choice for the overall game once it's released to the public. But again, it's not the developer's fault. It's just how games work, because you cannot have, you know, tens of thousands of people playing your game, because, you know, maybe you have, you know, 100's a lot for a playtest. You know, we would have like 60 to 100, and that would be hard to get every single day. We'd have to schedule it out in a 2-hour period to playtest our BR that we put out. But, you know, trying to do that again and again, you have maybe 2 games before people have to leave for the office. You don't have the opportunity to do it. No one's playing 15 hours in a row against other players who are playing 15 hours in a row, discovering all these secrets. So the big thing I'm happy about, guys, they have addressed issues. They have addressed the most. Like, everything on this list, I would have expected and wanted to be on this list. So for me, that's a big win. Like, if they left Salvo, if they left SKYBREAK, if they didn't do anything to the HEXFIRE, if they didn't buff the Dtap a little bit, if they didn't do some of these things, I would have said, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. But so far, really impressed with their first patch, and I think that this is going to bring something to, you know, Hyperscape that hopefully helps balance out the experience. Because I was getting a little like, oh, I don't know, man. I don't know how long this is going to last, because this is getting real unfun real fast. If this is the only way to play this game. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one and taking a look at it. I want to know what your thoughts are. I definitely want to play this too, which we may be doing a little bit on the stream. But for now, that's my look at the patch notes.